Hi everybody, Karen here, and thanks so much for joining me for yoga today. We're going to be doing more of an Ignite style flow today, so a little bit more intensity in the movements, in the postures, but we'll be using some props to modify so you can be exactly where you need to be today. So to that end, we have a blanket, and we'll be using that kind of toward the middle of the practice, so have that handy. And nice to have some kind of like towel or yoga strap or belt or tie, anything like that, to bring your feet a little bit closer to you during the leg stretches. Yoga blocks will be a very useful tool. And if you don't have yoga blocks, totally okay. You may be able to go without them, but good to have a stack of books handy, like nice heavy books. Big pile, just like right next to the mat, and then no matter what, you will be prepared for whatever we're gonna do. So then, once you've got all your props kind of gathered right around you, let's go ahead and begin our practice. And where we'll start today is lying down on our backs. So go ahead and just lie down on your back and find a comfortable position there. Just to give yourself time and space to take a few breaths here. Making sure that we're lengthening and deepening each inhale, each exhale. Maybe giving yourself a wiggle around, just seeing where you are right here. Where are you in space? How's your body feeling? Notice your quality of breath, the quality of the mind. And from there, we'll really start linking this breath to a little bit of movement. So use the inhale to take the arms up overhead and to flex the feet strongly. As we exhale, just sigh it out through the mouth. Bring the hands back down by the sides. Relax the feet completely. And again, inhaling big to stretch up, to flex the feet. Exhale to let it go. Relax the feet. Let's take one more round this way. Inhaling to stretch. And exhaling, sighing it out audibly even. And then from here, we'll take the soles of the feet together, the knees apart, lowering the legs down to the mat in a diamond shape. One hand on the belly, one hand over the heart. Continuing to feel your breath rise and fall through the body. Notice that here, that natural lumbar curve in your low back means your low back is just slightly off the floor. Just kind of notice that curve here. And then as we're ready, we're going to bring the knees together and take the feet a little bit wider than hip width apart. Now the knees are bent and up, and the knees are just touching. And then notice how the low back starts to really relax into the floor. So enjoy this release in the low back. Take a few more breaths here. Just checking in with the breath, also to make sure that we maintain it throughout the rest of the practice. This is kind of a warm-up for our breath. So breathe deep here, and then gradually taking the hands out to a T position, and we'll begin to take the knees side to side, just windshield wiper them out. And then eventually we'll allow the knees to fall over to the right as we look out over that left arm. Just a gentle twist here. Bring Keep breathing deeply, and we'll inhale to take the knees up, and we'll take them again side to side. Eventually exhaling to send them all the way over to the left, and we're going to look out over that right arm, just taking the twist to the other side here. Giving this a few breaths. And then we'll inhale it back to center. Taking a nice big stretch up overhead, lengthening out the legs. And then as we exhale, we're gonna hug in this time, knees toward the chest. And here's where we get to curl ourselves up into a little ball and really begin a rocking and rolling motion. Now, that low back should be nice and round. If you're feeling some ka-chunking there, then round out the back a little bit more. Eventually, gonna get our way up to seated. I didn't like that at all. That didn't go well this morning either. Eventually beginning our rocking and rolling motion forward and back. And eventually we'll take it right up to seated and then take it through to hands and knees. So a nice tabletop position here. So from our tabletop, we will inhale to take the chest forward, the tailbone high, squeezing shoulder blades together. As we exhale, we're going to tuck and round, coming into that angry cat shape. So take it a couple of times, just to the rhythm of your own breath. Inhaling to sway the back, squeeze shoulder blades together. Exhale to round and arch the back, squeezing that core. And then we'll move this cat and cow a little bit. So as we inhale again, we're going to come to that cow shape. And then as we exhale, sigh it out. And take that arching cat, hips back toward the heels. Inhaling to crawl it forward. Chest comes close to the mat as you sway up. Breathe in through the nose. And exhale, sigh it out. Sit it back. You get the idea. So taking a couple of rounds like this. Inhaling forward, exhaling, letting it go, sighing it out. Take this to the rhythm of your own breath here. And then eventually we'll sigh it back to a full-on extended child's pose. So the knees come out, the big toes together. And we'll take a few breaths here. Relaxing through the low back. Just remembering that child's pose, Balasana, is a great place to come back to. If anything at all feels like a little too much during the class, or if your breath starts getting a little choppy, come back to child's pose and check in with that breath. So that being said, from here, let's inhale our way up to a tabletop shape once again. All right, and then from here, we might even want to move the hands forward an inch or two. Take a big inhale here. And as we exhale, taking it back to downward facing dog, so the tailbone comes high. Think of tracking the insides of the elbows out in front of you. And that'll really help you push back with the arm strength. Breathe deeply here. Here, pedal out the heels a little bit, bend one knee, straighten the other. Good, shake out the head, release any tension in the neck you might be finding. And let's take a big inhale to look forward between the hands. As we exhale, let's take a little walk forward. Feet land about between the hands here. And we're going to just grab the elbows here, sway it out side to side. Think soft knees. Again, an opportunity to let the head go and let the neck go. Take a big inhale here, and then as we exhale, the hand's going to fall wherever they want to land is great. As we inhale, we're going to take it up one vertebra at a time, all the way up to standing. End of the inhale sends the palms to touch, and then we exhale to heart center. Just seeing how you're feeling right here, right now. We're going to come into a little breathing warm-up called Breath of Joy. So I'm going to turn to face you so you can actually see what I'm doing. So what we're going to do is stand in our mountain pose, feet about hip width apart, and we'll inhale the arms right in front of us. So about a third of an inhale here. That's the first part of the inhale. Palms are up. And then the second part of the inhale, the arms go out to the sides. So your lungs are about 2/3 full. Then the last part of the inhale is going to be arms reaching high right above you. Then as we exhale through the mouth, we bend the knees, we take the arms back, maybe even make some fists here. Good. So let's try it out. We're going to inhale forward, palms up. Inhale out to the side. Inhale up. And let it go. Inhale, arms forward. Inhale, arms to the side. Inhale, arms up. Let it go. Inhale forward. Inhale out. Inhale up. Let it go. Forward, inhale. 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 Exhaling. Let's do a couple more rounds here, just to the rhythm of our own breath. That 3-part inhale. Make sure that you're inhaling nice and big. Take it to your own rhythm though. And then let it go. Good. Once again, we're just here with bent knees at the front of the mat. Might even want to hug the elbows in one more time. Let it go here. And then gradually we make our way back up into that Tadasana mountain pose. Got the energy moving there, I think. So let's check out Sun Salutation C with a couple little variations in there. So we're going to inhale to reach the arms high. We're going to exhale to bow forward, hinging from the hips. Inhaling up to a flat back here. Hands on the shins, and exhaling, hands plant. We shoot the left foot all the way back. Back knee comes down. Inhaling into Hanumanasana. Sinking through the hips and opening up the front side of the body. Exhaling, hands down, stepping it back to plank. Take a big inhale in your plank, and then we're going to exhale, knees, chest, and chin are going to come to the floor. Pranam or inchworm inhales us forward into a little baby cobra, tops of the feet on the floor, elbows hug in to the rib cage. Exhaling, pushing it back to downward facing dog. Deep breaths here. As we inhale, we're going to look forward between the hands. As we exhale, we're going to step that left foot forward. Always find to grab the ankle to assist a little bit. Back knee's going to come down. And we're going to inhale to rise. Anjaneyasana. Anjali is the heart. We are shining the heart forward. Exhaling, we take the hands down and sit it back into quarter splits. So we're going to flex that front foot, wrap the left hip in a direction behind you to intensify the stretch. Inhaling to crawl it forward, and then we'll tuck the back toes, step it forward, Uttanasana, forward fold, and inhaling to rise. Think one vertebra at a time. Reaching up, palms touch, exhaling to heart center. That was side one. Let's take that other side. Inhaling to rise, reaching high. Exhaling to bow forward. Inhaling up to a flat back here. And then exhaling, hands plant. The right foot shoots all the way back. Back knee's going to come down. Inhaling to rise. Anjaneyasana. Exhaling, the hand's going to come down, and we'll step it back to plank. Big inhale in that plank, and then exhaling, knees, chest, and chin come to the floor. Inhaling to scoop it forward, tops of the feet are down. Knit the shoulder blades towards each other. Really open up through the chest. Reach up out of that low back, and then exhaling right back into downward facing dog. Push with that arm strength. Inhaling to look forward between the hands. Exhaling, that right foot steps forward this time. Back knee is going to come down. And we inhale to take the arms high. Turn the pinky fingers towards each other so the arms are in this beautiful spiral here. Reach. And then as we exhale, the hands come down. We're going to sit it back into quarter splits so that right hip wraps back behind you. All right, nice stretch there. And then we'll walk it forward. Take that back foot forward, Uttanasana, forward fold. Let the head and neck go once more. Inhaling to rise, think one vertebra at a time. End of inhale, sends palms to touch overhead. Exhaling to heart center. And we're going to get that energy moving even a little bit more here. Let's take the hands to the hips. And then from here, we're going to ground more strongly into the right foot. Begin to inhale to float the left leg. As we exhale, we're going to step that left foot back and set up for warrior one. So about 45 degrees or so on that back foot, a diagonal. And then we send the left hip forward, right hip back, just enough so it's not torquing my back knee there. Eventually reaching the arms high. Lots of strength through the lower body, opening up through the front side of the body. Think about taking the shoulders down away from the ears here. Big inhale. And then as we exhale, we're going to sweep those arms back. The crown of the head reaches forward, so spine is long. Grounded warrior. Belly toward thigh. And then as you're ready, fingertips might come to the floor or use a block to help you. And we will step that back foot forward a little bit, finding a pyramid stance about 2 to 3 feet between the feet here. Inhale once more to find some length through the spine. And then as we exhale, we'll take the belly toward the thigh just to your degree here. Wherever you are, see if you can let the head and neck go. And we'll crawl the fingertips forward, bending that front knee. And then as we inhale, we'll shoot that left leg high. So straightening that front knee to your degree. Standing splits. Big inhale here. And then as we exhale, stepping the left foot all the way back. Good. Coming into a lunge here, and then into dragon or lizard pose. So we'll take the hands, both the hands to the big toe side of that front foot. And then you can leave that back knee up for lizard or take it down for dragon. Either way, you might want to stay up on the hands, or you might want to use a block or even your blanket if that's handy to place the right forearm down and then the left forearm. We're trying to hug that right knee into the shoulder as much as possible for this version of the pose. All right, few breaths here. Once we're here, we really want to enjoy this nice hip stretch we're getting. And then, after that little breather, we're going to come up onto the hands and walk the hands toward the long side of the mat here. From here, we'll turn the toes out a little bit and just paying attention to our knees here. We're going to track the knees right over the toes, eventually coming up into goddess squat. So for our goddess squat here, we take the arms to a goalpost position. Squeeze the shoulder blades towards each other, make some space through the chest here. Good, and let's take a big inhale, 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 and how about a lion breath? So yeah, lion breath, sticking the tongue out, stretching the face really. The eyes are wide open and we might even be looking up. Let's try a couple more. So inhaling big and then yeah, energizing breath. Pranayama. Let's try it one more time. Inhaling here. Nice. Okay, let's take it over to the other side of the mat. Warrior two. So the left toes turn toward the short side. The right foot is about parallel to the short side of the mat that used to be the front. We're going to bend into that left knee, looking out over left middle finger. Right. Lots of strength in the lower body. Make sure that you're taking that left knee toward the pinky toe so that knee isn't flopping in. That helps protect the knee joints. And then from here, we'll exalt the warrior. Right hand down the back thigh. Inhaling, left arm high. Breathing deeply. Use that next inhale to straighten out that front knee. And as we exhale, coming into a T position with the arms, let's take that right hip back. Feel that left hip crease. I even find it helpful to feel for that left hip crease with the fingers. As I bend the hips, then the torso starts leaning forward. We go with that lean, arms out to a T, stretch that left hand forward. And once I reach the edge of this stretch here, I take it around. The left hand lands where it lands. I'm trying not to crunch through the left side of the waist and the torso here. So we have length on both sides, especially around the rib cage here. Reaching out. Nice to look up toward that top arm if that's okay on your neck. Or you can always look down. And then from here, we are going to go ahead and look down at that left big toe. And then the left hand can come onto the floor or onto your block. Eventually, that right leg is going to launch and lift and float up for Ardha Chandrasana, balancing half moon. Right. Deep breaths here also, especially in balancing positions. Maybe we look out toward the side here for a little bit extra balance challenge, looking at the wall instead of the floor. Deep breaths, big inhale. And then as we exhale, we're going to step it back, this time coming into another wide leg stance, this time with the big toes towards each other a little bit, the heels out a little bit. Inhale to reach out wide, and then we exhale to fold in. Sometimes it's a really nice thing to just take a block under your hands here or a book, something to bring the floor a little bit closer if you're not feeling super bendy today. Or you can grab your big toes. Have the hands where it feels nice to you. Most of all, keep breathing, let the head and neck go here. All right, as we inhale, let's come up to a flat back. Fingertips forward, right under the face, and then we're gonna heel toe the feet, more like hip width apart, or a little wider than hip width apart. Come on up, heel toe some more, and then make our way to the front of the mat. Let's check out that other side with this standing and balancing sequence. So stepping it out, let's come to a nice Tadasana mountain pose. So feel equal weight in the feet here. And then we'll sink the weight more into that left foot. We'll inhale to float that right leg. As we exhale, let's take that right leg back, setting up for warrior one on the left. So back foot is about 45 degrees or so. Front knee begins to bend. We take the right hip forward, left hip back, but just being mindful not to jam anything into that back knee. So not overdoing it on the hip centering here. Be gentle. And then we inhale, the arms high, we lift up out of that low back. Big breaths here. Next exhale takes us sweeping the arms back, belly toward the thigh, grounded warrior. Great. From here, you're going to take the fingertips down and step that back foot forward, about 2 or 3 feet between the feet here. Inhaling for length in the spine. And then exhaling, taking the belly toward the thigh, just to your degree here, hugging in. From here, we're gonna see about crawling the fingertips forward, standing splits. Inhaling here, and then exhaling to step that right foot back. Now both hands on the big toe side of the foot, coming into dragon or lizard. On this side, lizard is with the knee up, dragon's with the knee down. You choose. Maybe left forearm comes down and then right forearm. Or you can stay up on the hands or have a prop. Nice stretch through the hips here for sure. After a couple of deep breaths here, we'll come back up to the hands if you're not there already. And then we'll walk the hands gradually over toward the long side of the mat. Then we take the toes out, the heels in a little bit, and tracking the knees right over the toes, we come up into our goddess squat. This side, how about we take the hands behind the head and maybe start a little tick-tock for the oblique abdominals, right elbow to right thigh. Exhale, inhale our way back up. Exhale, left elbow to left thigh, inhale back up. So exhaling down, inhaling up, alternating sides. Just saying hello to the oblique abdominals here. Your choice as to how many to do. And maybe eventually we come up for maybe one more lion breath. Let's inhale, 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 stay in that squat. And exhaling it out, finding some energy. And then we'll turn that left foot about parallel with the short side of the mat. Back there, right toes pointing forward to what used to be the back of the mat, and now we'll call the front. Taking the arms up. Good. And then we're going to center the rib cage right over the hips, right over that pelvic bowl. So we're not reaching forward yet. We're going to do that in triangle. But right here, we're very centered. The arms are reaching out. The legs are gaining strength. Right knee again toward the pinky toe here. As we inhale, exalt, left hand down the back thigh. Right rib cage opens. A couple of breaths here. And then we're going to inhale to straighten out that front knee. Exhaling into a T position with the arms. And as we're ready, just taking those hips, left hip reaches back, right hip creases more and more, and right fingertips reach forward. When you've reached your edge with that reaching, that's when we want to take it around to our Utthita Trikonasana and gently place the hand wherever it lands. That right hand could be on the shin, could be on the floor, could be on a block actually. And maybe looking up at that top arm, just making sure we're still breathing deeply. From here, we're going to take it into a balance. So right hand comes down onto the block or onto the floor, Ardha Chandrasana, balancing half moon. And still breathing deeply into this balance. Flex that back foot like you're kicking into a wall behind you. Maybe look over at your wall and see how that affects the balance. Whenever we do fall out of it, think of falling with acceptance, with grace, with a deep breath, and then begin again. Big inhale here. And then as we exhale, stepping it back, we're going to come into a wide leg position here. I'm going to go ahead and turn to face you. And this time, maybe we interlace the fingers behind the back to find a nice chest stretch. Inhaling, maybe even lifting the hands up off the low back, exhaling to come forward. Your toes are in a little bit, your heels are out a little bit. You're feeling the weight a little bit more in the balls of the feet rather than the heels. Take a big inhale here. And as we exhale, we're going to release that bind with the hands. We're going to heel toe the feet so they're a little bit wider than hip width apart and come right into a nice yogi squat here. Okay, in yogi squat, you just want to be thinking about the tailbone acting as an anchor and pulling us downward. And then the crown of the head, the top of the head at the back pulling us upward. So we're getting some incredible length in our spines. We're pushing out slightly with the elbows into the thighs. And you don't have to come down this low. You could be actually sitting on a block. That'd be a great way to get into yogi squat. Or you can have your butt a lot higher and have the toes pointed forward, fingertips walking forward, pulling back on the tailbone. So spending a couple of breaths in our yogi squat, and then we're going to go ahead supporting ourselves with the hands. We're just going to come right down to sit on the mat so we can go over and grab our blanket and our strap here. So from there, we're going to actually fold the mat so that we've got about half of the width of the mat available. We're not going to need more than that for what we're going to do next. And then we'll place the blanket, we'll have it about in a rectangular fold here. We'll place it right next to the mat. And from here, we're going to have a seat on the blanket so that the butt is actually a little bit higher and the legs are a teensy bit lower. Okay. And then we'll take our strap or a towel or tie, just kind of have it handy here. First, coming into Dandasana, staff pose, the hands right by the hips, and the thighs have this feeling of wrapping inward and pushing down so that the heels almost begin to float up a little or a lot, or maybe just the thought of floating the heels up. We got our spine super long, and we're really engaging through the core as well as lifting up through the pelvic floor even. Shoulders down away from the ears, and we're knitting the shoulder blades towards each other here a little bit. So a very active pose actually, Dandasana. We're going to remember that as we come out of this and go ahead and wrap the strap around the balls of both feet here. Take a big inhale and exhale. Activate that Dandasana feeling through the quadriceps, through the legs as you engage the core. Exhale to come forward. So we're going to keep the spine nice and long here. If you've got any issues with sciatica, any sciatic nerve issues, you could stay up in Dandasana and just skip the forward fold entirely. A couple of breaths here. And then as we inhale, we're going to go ahead and come on up We're going to remember that wrapping inward of the thighs. We can get that strap out of the way. And here we're going to use our blanket in a little bit of a different way. So this is coming into Hanumanasana, or splits. But no worries here about trying to get into full splits. There's lots of modifications to this. So I've got the blocks or maybe stacks of books by my side, or I might have my fingertips on the floor, but whatever you're using, make sure it's nice and stable and not going to wobble and fall over. And then I've got my heel on the blanket's on the floor. I've got a wood floor, but this should work on carpet as well. So then you're going to use the blanket to slide the heel forward. Try to keep the spine long. That's kind of what the blocks are for a little bit of support and for enabling your spine to stay long. And now wrap the thighs inward like you were doing in your Dandasana. That way we get some really nice stability here. Deep breaths, coming into a place where I'm feeling it, but where it's not too much. And just staying there and breathing. And that's about my edge right there. So I'm going to keep breathing, and I'm going to exhale to pull the blanket back in, supporting with the hands. And then I'll check out the other side. Good. So from here, we get set up with the blocks or books or fingertips on the floor, and then take that left heel forward. Remember to wrap those thigh muscles in an inward direction as we've got our heel on the blanket, and very carefully, slowly, in a controlled fashion, making our way forward. That's a really nice intense stretch right there. Reminding myself to wrap inward so that my leg doesn't get too floppy and I don't lose stability here. And from there, maybe, if I'm feeling it, as I breathe, sinking a tiny bit deeper, or not. It's really most about the sensations you're getting, the stretching. But we're also practicing some strength in the core here. Big inhale. And then as we exhale, we'll pull it back just as gently as you came into this. We come out, taking the leg behind. And then from here, folding the blanket so that it's a little thicker, and just taking a little rest right down over it. Child's pose. Giving yourself a little rest there, and then we'll arrange the mat to be full length again. Whee! And then see how you want to dial the blanket for this next one. It could be a little thinner, it could be a little thicker. I'm going to place mine on that little bit thicker setting, a little bit thicker fold. And then the bottom of my rib cage, I'm going to lay right over that blanket. If this blanket move is a little bit too much, you can always leave that out of the equation. But if it's feeling okay, let's exhale here, send the tops of the feet onto the mat. The palms right in toward the hips. And then as we inhale, we're going to start a little back bend supported by the blanket. So those fingers are going to reach back. The low back is working, but lifting, think length here. Squeeze shoulder blades together. And then if you're feeling it, maybe just lifting the feet. Give it another couple of breaths here. Take another big inhale, and then as we exhale, let's see about coming out of this. Hands by the chest and pushing back. Taking the blanket underneath us for another nice supported child's pose. Having the arms where they feel most comfortable here. All right, and from here, we're gonna have some more fun with our blanket. So taking it back on the little bit thinner setting, like rectangular shape of that fold, and we're gonna put it kind of near the top of the mat here. And you can have a block handy. We'll be doing a couple of different variations, and really you just pick the one that works for you. So where we'll start is again having a block handy and lying down over the blanket. And so we're going to do it so that the curve of your neck is supported by the blanket. So the edge of the blanket is right around the base of the neck in that area. Feel that natural curve of the neck snuggling in. And from here, we can start with the feet on the floor, about hip width apart, the knees up. Inhale to take the hips up, and notice how the back of your neck is still supported by the blanket here. And we're going to place the hips right on the block, supported bridge. You can choose your height on that block, and then we can zhuzh the blanket around to see where it feels best. So a lot of times, and many times I have practiced shoulder stand with my back and neck just on the mat. But the version with the blanket actually supports that natural curve of the neck a little bit better. So over time, it should be easier on the neck, and we might avoid some issues later on from practicing shoulder stand over and over. Now, if you've got neck or shoulder issues, it's possible you won't want to do full-on shoulder stand at all, and that's perfectly okay. So where we'll go next is lifting the legs while we're still in this supported bridge position. And again, this might be as far as you want to go, especially if you don't want to put pressure on your neck and on your shoulders. This is a perfectly beautiful inversion, and feel free to stay there if you don't really feel like you need anything more. If you want to come up into shoulder stand, make sure that you're supporting your hips with the hands here. We're going to zhuzh right into it. Good. Picking the hips up off the block, and then walking the elbows in. And here, you can see the curve of the back of my neck is still nicely supported by the width of the blanket. So I'm not squishing the back of my neck straight or flat. So you may want to stay here, or if you've got a plow in your practice already, or if you want to check it out, maybe we come back into plow, sending the legs overhead. And if and when you're ready, just picking up the toes off the floor if they got back there, and sending the knees right toward the ears. Ear pressure pose. And then being mindful that you've still got a block there somewhere under your hips. Whew. I go ahead and place my back on the block. Take the feet back down on the floor. And eventually, I'm just going to take the block out from under me and take it to one side. Good. And then maybe going side to side, windshield wiper style with the knees. From all this upside downing, we may want to come into fish pose just as a counter pose to that shoulder stand. So again, this is a great place if you want to use the blanket for this. You could always take a supported fish and place a folded up blanket or even a bolster, if you've got one, right between the shoulder blades, lying out on top of that blanket. Or if you wanted to come into traditional fish pose, you would take the hands by the sides, and then begin to crawl the hands underneath the butt. The palms are face down. And from here, we kind of zhuzh the arms like right underneath the torso. Again, this is a place where you might want to stay for a while if you haven't done fish before, Matsyasana. But if you're feeling it, maybe you start to bend the elbows. Maybe you start to drape the head back. And the top of the head might end up on the floor, or it might end up floating. You'll notice that it's very lovely to take a deep inhale in this pose, because the chest here is very, very free. Some yogis even recommend this pose as an antidote to respiratory issues, asthma. All right, whenever we are ready, we'll push up to lift the head slightly, and then exhale to roll it down, taking the arms out from under the butt. And then we'll take the soles of the feet to the floor, the knees up, and simply windshield wiper out the knees once more. Again, maybe just like at the beginning of our practice, maybe you eventually land the knees over to the right and look left. Inhaling the knees up, windshield wipering it out. And then eventually the knees fall left and you look right. Inhaling back to center, then we can take the soles of the feet together, the knees apart, take a diamond shape here. Supta Baddha Konasana. Getting anything else you would like near the end of your practice here, sending the head side to side. Taking any remaining pressure or tension off of that neck. Maybe even coming into a happy baby here. Just giving yourself a little bit of time to play, a little bit of time to wiggle before we come down into our final resting pose, Shavasana. In Shavasana, more fun with the blanket. You may even want to roll it up and place it under the knees. Just allowing your lower back a little bit more opportunity to release here. And we begin to just let go of any control we're having over the breath, over holding on to tension in any of the muscles. We begin to come into stillness. So give yourself this time to truly and fully relax. Enjoying this sensation of stillness and relaxation, and knowing you can stay here if you've got the time. Stay here, hang out. Whenever you're ready to come out, you simply invite the motion into the fingers and toes, into the ankles, into the wrists, into the head, moving it side to side. Inhaling, reaching the arms high, reaching the legs long, and exhaling to hug the knees right into the chest, just giving yourself a giant hug here. For making it to your yoga practice today, rolling it around and over to your favorite side, coming to rest there for a moment in the posture we call rebirth. And then eventually and slowly making your way up to a comfortable seat. Just noticing how you feel. Thank you so much for joining us at Suryasta Yoga. Rise and shine. Namaste.